Welcome to part 2 of my 2017 game ranking video, the part where I won't spend half the episode complaining about Splatoon 2. The same rules as last time apply here, so strap it in and enjoy the ride. I know I've already said I'm not super into most racing games or fighting games, both of which are all skill-based, so it may surprise you that I'm not one for most logic-based RPGs either. The problem is, these days RPGs are just piles and piles of menus. When I watch gameplay from Xenoblade, I just scratch my head, and not just at how Dali's spine hasn't ripped in half by now. In order to entertain me, a role-playing game has to be simple enough for me to understand it without several pages of notes, while also not being so simple that I feel like there's no challenge. Before playing this game, the only real RPG I had found that did this was Pokemon. I finally found another title I liked in 2015, however, called Undertale. Now, I have a confession. I haven't actually played the PS4 version of the game, but the PS4 version is exactly the same, and I have played the computer version. Furthermore, what are you going to do about it? I know this game gets a lot of hate because of its fan base, but honestly, if I let a fandom encourage how I feel about something, I probably wouldn't like anything I like today. In fact, I'm not sure I would enjoy anything whatsoever. It seems that every fandom is a complete horse manure. I feel like I can't say much about this game that hasn't already been said. The story is beautiful, the characters are charming, the music is phenomenal. No matter what non-lyrical musical genre you're in the mood for, Undertale has at least one song that'll suit your mood. The pacifist route results in every fight becoming more of a puzzle than a battle. The battle mechanisms themselves are creative too, and every enemy's attack being 100% avoidable as are basically short bullet hexs. Oh jeez, I'm sorry, please excuse my language. The genocide route, of course, as you may know, does an amazing job of just making you feel awful for what you're doing. Anyway, the PS4 version came out this year and I never got a chance to talk about how much I like this game, so I just wanted to briefly mention it. I think this is a perfect RPG. I suppose a teleportation widget of some sort would have been nice, but I think not having one also helps understand how small the monster's world is overall. Still provides enough gameplay to make it worth the $10, but it's not super long. It really sucks you into the underground and makes you feel like everything you do has value. Every single little frog enemy you kill doesn't faint, it actually dies. When a character dies, it affects the rest of the game. I suppose I would have liked the longer game, but the game that does exist is so wonderful and full of charm, it's hard to say anything bad about it. I hope Toby Fox continues to bring us projects like this, because Undertale is a game I won't ever fully move on from. Super Mario Odyssey is the Mario game nobody believed could happen. Nintendo has a tendency to refuse a return to old formats, even when the older games of the series are the most beloved. This is sometimes a good thing, but it also leads to some bad. In 2017, however, Nintendo is not acting like Nintendo. Mario's been about point A to B platforming for so long that to have a game like Odyssey feels like finding an intelligent Trump cabinet member. Mario Odyssey has you traveling to different kingdoms in search of power moons, like the stars of Mario 64, or the sprites of Mario Sunshine. Unlike either of those games, these aren't all selected from the menu. These are just lying around the world so you can get them in any order you want, aside from specific moons which are used for advancing the plot. However, you can often ignore at least one of the plot-based moons and just find moons lying around, allowing you to race towards the end of the game, leaving the poor kingdom in peril. Many have critiqued this, saying the moons are too easy to find, but I respectfully disagree. I feel that Nintendo finally paid attention to their main audience, man-children. However, I don't think they made this game exclusively for adults. Nintendo made this game based on the everyone crest, even if it is 18+. Odyssey is meant to be a game where a 3-year-old can play it and have a blast finding the easier moons just lying around, and their parent who will enjoy themselves by finding the more difficult moons and ones which require typical Mario platforming. The game is about exploration and seeking out every nook and cranny, but it also presents Mario with a wide moveset, allowing speedrunners to skip over large sections of the game. The most contracting Mario players in the world could still have an equal amount of fun with this game, and that is the beauty of Mario Odyssey. That's right, I am counting the entirety of the SNES Classic as important. Don't worry, my number 2 is still a specific game, and not the console as a whole, but I personally feel that because the games aren't changed whatsoever, this is a 2017 port of a game. Previously I mentioned Undertale, a game which pays homage to the classic games before it. So what old game could possibly be better? Duh, obviously its sequel. We all know the story. Back in 1994, Undertale 2 was released in America without its predecessor. Then in 2015, Nintendo finally brought us the original Undertale. After playing the sequel though, I can see why this one is more adored. This game has phenomenal writing, and that's because it was all written by one man, the game's creator, Toby Fox. I must say there were a few strange design choices, such as replacing the spare and bullet heck mechanics with the health system that goes down at a pace allowing the player to redeem themselves by healing a member before they die if need be. But it is still a wonderful game. What Undertale 2 does so excellently is mixing its bright, colorful atmosphere and happy-go-lucky music with darker themes, such as religious cultism, police corruption, and plenty of other themes most E-rated games wouldn't dare touch. It also constantly reminds you of one thing a lot of RPGs have going for them, but fail to really implement. Your party members are all children. The NPCs often refer to you with pronouns meaning kid, your weapons are baseballs and yo-yos, and even your arch-nemesis is just the annoying neighbor. Every time someone gets fatally wounded or even just attacked in general, it doesn't feel like a sprite in a game getting you closer to losing a battle. It feels like a friend is in trouble. Alright, I know it would have been funnier if I never referred to it by its actual name and kept the joke that it's related to Undertale in some way, but I have to break character and be honest here. Earthbound is my new favorite RPG of all time. Shigesato Itoi's personal writing fills its world with so much charm and wit that I wanted to talk to every person possible. The enemies are clever, the story is beautiful, and any nitpicks I have about it are solely due to its age. The music in this game is fantastic. It has what I would argue to be the best audio design of its era. This game filled me with an emotion I haven't felt since the first time I played a Zelda game in 2011. 2017 was one of the best years to be a Nintendo fan, and my second favorite game this year is from 1994. If that does not speak volumes about how magical this game is, I don't know what will. Most people don't know about it, and I'm definitely going to get in trouble for revealing this, but Nintendo actually secretly made a port of Twilight Princess for the Switch and gave it exclusively to a select random group of people who bought the Switch on launch night. I was so happy to have my favorite game of all time on Switch. I mean, who could forget the iconic scene where Link rides Epona over the bridge of Hylia, jumps off of her to shoot an arrow into a nearby enemy, and then gets on his motorcycle and abandons her? Or how about the incredible scene where Link fights alongside his greatest ally yet, himself in wolf form? Truly one of the most... I want to explain something. I feel there is such a thing as something being your favorite without it inherently being the best. Despite the fact that Up is my favorite Pixar film, I don't think it has to be their best one. I can even admit other Pixar films are objectively better. And those are my feelings with my favorite game this year. It's not my favorite game of the series, but I do believe in terms of what makes a game good, it is the best game of the series. And the game I'm talking about is the Switch's main launch title, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. No other Zelda has been this ambitious. This game takes many of the key aspects of Zelda and it throws them out the window. This is the first truly open Zelda game since the first one. It has defined what an open world game can be. Rather than finding an item in a dungeon and using that item throughout the dungeon, this game gives you 4 runes which can be used at any time at the very beginning tutorial area of the game, and that's it. Everything else that you do is performed using the runes in your own creative ways. This leads to what I believe to be the game's crowning achievement, the physics engine. I don't quite understand how they did it, but somehow with only the simple tools you're given, Nintendo made one of the most complex and immersive engines I have encountered in a game, and then includes titles like Portal. Everything in the world is programmed with reaction to anything else. If you lead a stone talus to a guardian, they will battle each other. If you let a moblin hit a cucko, the cucko will attack a moblin. That's right, even something as simple as a joke way to die becomes a mechanic in Breath of the Wild. The world is vast, but it isn't empty, which means you can have fun just by randomly walking around Hyrule without any distinct goal in mind. Just look at when I tried to capture this horse. It took me around 5 to 7 minutes because of everything I ran into along the way, and I did all so I could do this. The combat in general is another aspect which stays simple but complex. Whether on foot or horseback, and now including on your motorcycle, it is up to you to decide how to defeat enemies, from slowly whittling them down by dropping bombs from above, to setting the grass around them on fire, to going in and dropping a metal box on them. Breath of the Wild battles are never exactly the same. Yes, there are some things which could be improved, such as the enemy variety and the overall lack of Zelda music we all love, but I don't see these purely as negatives. I only see these as ways the next installment could improve. The game is among the highest rated of all time, universally agreed upon as objectively one of the best games ever created. It's undeniable that this is the greatest game in Zelda history, but I'm going to state my personal opinion that I think this is the greatest game ever conceived. With all of this praise, Nintendo would be smart to use this game as a stepping stone to future Zeldas, and this is where my excitement kicks in. Imagine a new entry in the series much like this one, but with all of the key Zelda features many wish were kept in the game. Standard Zelda dungeons, a way to make the crazy ends of the past work in this style of game. The music of Zelda, enemy variety, humanoid Ganondorf, a companion who doesn't give everything away, much like Midna, and others. If Nintendo makes a game like Breath of the Wild but implements all these features, there will not even be a question what the best game of all time is. Everyone, from the hardcore Zelda fans to the salty Horizon Zero Dawn fans, will bow down to that game and accept what a perfect game is. Breath of the Wild is objectively one of the greatest games, if not the greatest game ever crafted. Rather than complaints, all I have are nitpicks, and those nitpicks only leave me with more hype towards whatever Nintendo does next with my favorite series.
Well, there you have it, my ranking of every game I played this year, aka my top 6 first-party Switch games and also both Undertale games. Thank you for sitting through this low-quality video, and have yourself a lovely 2018.